Hey everybody, my next guest has been a stand-up comedian for over 20 years, and he was also a New York City firefighter for 21 years, retiring in 2008. Over the years, he has branched out from stand-up comedy to producing, acting, writing, and podcasting. Here he is, folks, the one and only JOHN LAROCCHIA. What's up, John? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing? I've been doing stand-up over 30 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they see my act, they go, maybe 5 years. But over 30 years.
So you were doing stand-up simultaneously as a fireman?
Yeah, it was really cool. When I got into Manhattan as a firefighter, my first firehouse was Ladder 12, Engine 3. I was in Ladder 12. If people don't know how the fire department works, there's usually two different companies in the same firehouse in New York City. One of them is usually a truck, and they respond to the fire. They force the doors in. They make the rescues. And the engine is the one that puts out the fire. They have hoses. So the next time you look at trucks, you'll see some of them have ladders. Some of them have the hoses on it. So, I was on 17th Street off of 19th Street off of 7th Avenue. And I always wanted to do some stand-up, so I took a class in the city. A comic, his name is Lee. I don't know how I remember his name. Lee Frank. I mean, it's an easy name, but I'm terrible. And we had our final show at Dangerfields.
Oh, nice.
Okay? But I said, man, I got to get up before the final show because we only perform it in front of the class. So I went to Chuckles.
Mineola?
Mineola, that was on Union Turnpike? What street was that on?
I think it was Jericho Turnpike.
Jericho Turnpike,
yeah.
Correct. And there's a firehouse right next door.
Oh, yeah.
So I got up, and cheated. I get up on a stage and I go, hey, it's my first time on stage. Please bear with me, And I have my notes there, popping out, right? Getting the sympathy of the audience, and I'm bombing a miserable death. I am bombing. And all of a sudden, the alarm goes off at the firehouse. And they introduced me as a firefighter. And I go, oh, my God, ladies and gentlemen, I got to run. I got to go, right? And I got my first laugh, And up until that point, I go, oh, my God, this sucks. And I was like, ooh, wait a second. This ain't so bad. So that was my first laugh.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that your first laugh was due to being a fireman. Like, it all comes full circle. You know what I mean?
I never thought of that until you just said that.
Yeah, so it was that kind of coexistence of the two worlds.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. And because I didn't know if you were a fireman, and then later on after your fireman, kind of career, then you started doing stand up. But I guess you were kind of always had the stand up bug.
No, yes and no. I would go to Chuckles East Side as an audience member and see Bob Nelson over and over. I must have saw Bob Nelson 20 times. And he was my guy because I am a clean comic. I'm very silly. There's no depth to myself. There's no politics. I'm talking about my grandkids, my family. But Bob just made me laugh. I always liked the type of comic that was just silly and made me laugh.
Okay, I'm a fish in a fish tank eating my food.
And they don't have to be clean. I'm clean, but I always respected that you could get that many laughs and not drop the F-bomb once, There was something about that I liked. My first exposure to stand-up comedy was LaRoccchia's Luncheonette, 78th Street, Metropolitan Avenue in Middle Village. My father, my grandfather, and my uncle working the counter, all the sanitation workers coming in for lunch, and then just making people laugh, doing goofy things behind the counter.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think the food there was any good. I think people came in for the entertainment. You know what? That's not fair because my grandmother would make a special every morning, my old Italian grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And what's better? Picture my childhood. I'd walk into this luncheonette, my old Italian grandmother would be sitting there, and she'd go, Johnny, go in the kitchen, there's some meatballs. I'd get on a little stool, if the Department of Health, whatever, I had a fork eating out of the pot that was going to go to the general public, right? And then I'd go to leave it, and they have a big rack of candy in the front. You know, it's
Oh,
like,
no.
she goes, Johnny, take us some candy. Holy crap. Could there be anything better than a candy?
You had it made. That sounds like the best childhood ever.
But you know what? We say that in jest, you had it made, but I didn't know any better. You know what I mean? My childhood was awesome. And we didn't have money. My father worked 2 jobs, busted his ass. We didn't have any money, you know, but I didn't know any better. I just had a playing baseball and riding my bike in the streets in Middle Village. The best.
I think life was so much better back in the day. Like in me growing up too, I grew up in the 70s and into the 80s without the cell phones and without the social medias and without all these things today. I think we grew up, to today's standards, we grew up very innocent, but it was also, like you said, you didn't know what you didn't have. You just knew what you had. And I think there's something to that.
Yes, absolutely. We played in the streets for hours, stickball and hide and seek, and the best.
Exactly. So now, if did you come from a family of like firemen? What made you decide to join the fire department?
No, nobody in my. It's very unusual. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I went from job to job. I went to college. Was an accounting major. Hated that. Graduated with a degree. Worked all these jobs. I worked a few jobs in the city. Hated it. And then my friend of mine said, "Listen, you're in good shape. You play basketball, this and that. You love people. Why don't you take the firefighter's test?" I go, "Well, I'm not really a hero. I'm not too good with smoke, and I'm afraid of heights." That's enough reason, right? She goes, take the test. So I started working out with the test as a challenge, not as, I want to be a firefighter. Like a lot of guys, my dad was a firefighter,
Right,
it was a challenge to me now. So working out, weighted vest, running down the hills in Juniper Valley Park in Queens, take the written, get a 99, take the physical, get 100. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was great. Then, a few months go by. Oh, no, what happened with that test is there was a whole big lawsuit with the women because they didn't take, they thought the test wasn't job related. And they were right. It really, when you run a mile going into a fire,
Right.
So I had to wait 7 years. And I really wasn't waiting because I really didn't want the job. And then they called me and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'll take it until I decide what I want to do. And I was on the job 21 years. I would have definitely stayed longer if it wasn't for 9/11. We lost 19 guys in my firehouse at 9/11. How do you deal with that? How do you get it? But you don't.
That must have been such a, like, going through 9/11, losing friends and men and everything we all went through. But you being so hands-on and like in the front line of that and being part of that company of Ladder 12.
I was in hazmat then. I transferred to the hazardous materials unit.
How, man, like I could just imagine the morale was what was it like going through that at that time period?
It was, a lot of it is, believe it or not, is a blur. A lot of it is a blur. I blurred out a lot of it because you had to go into tunnel vision. You had it because we were working, because we were a specialty unit. You can't train a hazmat guy in a month. And
Right.
There's so many engines and so many trucks. So this company lost 10 guys. They could pull guys from around the city and fill the company. Couldn't do that with us. So we were working 24 on, 24 off, going to a funeral, 24 on. It was a crazy, like, 6 months where it was crazy.
Wow.
Guys who work, like, we're only allowed in New York City to work 24 hours. Around the country, some of the slower companies, you would say, they can work 3 days in a row. They get a lot of sleep. They're at the fire. We're not allowed to do that because it's just too busy. We were working 2-3 days, and the officers had no choice. So they normally, it wasn't allowed. They wouldn't ask you how many days you worked.
Right.
They would look. They would look and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. Okay, let's go. They didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
Guys were filling in for other guys. It was a crazy, crazy time. Crazy.
Yeah, I could only imagine. I mean, I was, I was in Long Island when it happened, and working in Southside Hospital at the time as the janitor. And I remember the devastation that I felt, well, my friends felt. Everybody who lives around here knows somebody.
Sure.
But to be,
Sure.
that hands on, like, God bless you, man, and all the fallen heroes and the families and all that stuff.
Those are my heroes. Those are my heroes, those guys. I worked with them. I laughed with them, partied with them, Christmas parties, softball teams. But at one point, I said, what am I going to do? I have to do something. Because if I don't do something, how can I expect other people to remember them if I'm not doing something? And it was getting old saying, oh, never forget, never forget. For me, I don't point fingers at anybody else.
Right.
You got to do something. So one day we were in a firehouse and we laughed. I remember what it was, and we went, ooh, that felt good. Then your next feeling was, maybe we shouldn't be doing that, And then after a while, I go, man, what a great way to remember them. They made me laugh, these guys. So many of these guys were funnier than I'll ever be. And I'm like, what a great way to remember them. Let's make people laugh now. We've cried enough. Let's make people laugh. And they would be the first ones to tell me that. In fact, I can picture my best friend Tommy Gardner saying, listen, I can't be with my family anymore. You can. You better do something good, or when you get up here, I'm going to kick your ass.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Do something good. And that's the whole, sometimes people go, I'll do a show for, a charity that I find. And I'm like, well, it's a great charity. And they're like, well, how much are you going to charge us? I go, I really don't know. Let's see how much money we make. And most of those shows, and I'm not patting myself on the back, I don't make money. I break even. I'll cover my expenses because I'm doing it as a way to remember the guys.
Right.
We're doing good work. General needs. They buy boots for homeless and needy veterans, shoes. What a great way to remember the guys. Putting boots on somebody that doesn't have a nice pair of shoes. It's these little things that you volunteer your time. There's nothing like doing that.
Yeah.
We can write out checks all day long, and that's nice. But get out there and volunteer your time and see these people. There's nothing like it.
Hey, bro! What's going on here tonight?
I think it's a comedy show.
Are you kidding me? What kind of show?
I think it's a comedy show that's laughter saves lives.
You said that beautifully. What kind of show?
Laughter saves lives!
What kind of show?
Laughter saves lives!
What kind of show?
Laughter saves lives!
Here we go!
And I think what you're doing is great. And like, I know that, there's certain jobs, whether it's police officer, fireman, that they identify who you are as a person. If you're a fireman, you're always a fireman.
Right.
It's embedded in who you are. And, I see that through what you do, which is a great thing. That's a huge compliment. But how would you say, like, going through 9/11 and that crazy tragedy, and it's about 23 years now going on, how has that shaped you?
Well, I always say my life basically ended on 9/11. The life that I knew, it ended on 9/11. For all of us in New York, but especially when you're down there on 9/11 on top of that pile. I was on that pile of 9/11, and you're looking around and you're like, what the freak is going on? Where am I? You just didn't have the time. You didn't have the energy to really think about what was going on. It was like, we need to dig here. Let's see if somebody's here. And when you look back, you were digging with your hands those first few days. They ended up bringing trucks in, right, and picking up steel. Who are we going to find digging with our hands, really? Didn't matter.
Right,
we had to try something, So it changed my life in that I was never the hero. I don't still consider myself a hero for being down there on 9/11. I consider them being in the lobby of that building, hearing people jump, and they went up the stairs. They went up the friggin' stairs when people were jumping out of the building. And I can't, I know if I was with them, I would probably did that. Don't get me wrong. I would have been scared to death. I was scared to death driving in on 9/11. I was in the back of a pickup truck going in there, and I'm like, what's going on? And my buddy, Tony Musafidi, said to me, write your social security number on your arm. Here's a marker. I'm like, why do I have my social security number on my arm? He goes, well, in case they find you somewhere they can identify you. What?
Wow.
What did you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it just changed me. Obviously, I want to help people. I want to do good. I think a lot of people do that, but it's not only that I want to. I feel I have to. I shouldn't be here. The riding list is on the wall there. I don't know if you could see it back there.
Yeah.
It's all the guys that were supposed to work on 9/11, including me, thrust out, and all the guys that worked overtime that replaced us. They're all gone. They're all gone.
Wow.
So I was supposed to be there.
Wow.
So that's why it's so important to me to do something good. We're doing a show coming up. Family lost a house, fire, had to live in a rental. Husband dies while they're in the rental. Whole big mess with the construction. She has no money to give the contractor. They can't get the house done. Now they're getting kicked out of the rental. And somebody approached me. Would you do the show? Yeah, we'll do the show. How much are you going to charge? I'm not going to charge anything. Oh, how can you do that? I got to do that. How can I not help this family? I don't need the money as much as they do.
Right.
You know, so listen, a lot of the comics need that money. I hold nothing against somebody. I'm doing a show like that, and I give somebody a few $100s, and they don't go, hey, give it to the family. That's fine, you know. But for me, I don't make money on the show. The foundation will, and that makes me feel good that I could do that as a way to remember my guys.
Yes, sir. And the foundation information, that's your website, and we'll put that at the bottom of here.
Yeah, laughtersaveslives.org. Laughtersaveslives.org. What I'd like to do is I'm looking for some big sponsors because I want to be able to leave a guy, a gal, a veteran that is struggling due to a tragedy to say, listen, instead of giving me 3 of your car payments, give me a year of your mortgage. Take that stress off you. Get well. Give me a year of your mortgage. And that's my goal, is to find sponsors where we can do that. Right now we have Barish and McGarry is our main sponsor. They do a great job for many charities, but that's what I'm looking to do. This is my firehouse, and it is a house because you work with people that you grow to love, you know, and that's what made 9/11 so devastating. Is you love these guys, with Christmas parties and picnics and all that. Here are the guys that are working now, and then we have the guys that are still riding, that never came back from 9/11, that are in the top there. When you lose so many friends, people are close to you, it was devastating. And then it hit me one day, well, everybody's saying never forget, and you're saying you're never going to forget these guys, these friends. Well, what are you going to do?
So when you found out, like on 9/11, you got the day off, and all of a sudden you find out what's going on, like all of us did at like 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was, you just jumped in the truck and headed right there?
No, I can't afford a truck. I don't have a pickup. I'm working on a screenplay forever. Time to Laugh Again. It's about Laughter Saves Lives and how we started after 9/11. When was it time to laugh again? And that morning, I rode the kids to school on a bike. My 2 kids. Got home. My wife went, she's a nurse, left. I turned on the TV. My neighbor told me to turn on the TV. I saw the smoke I saw the second plane hit at one point. Had my daughter, who's now 23. She was 1, so 23, 24. And dropped her off at the neighbor's house and drove in. I actually stopped by Trader Joe's to pick up some Cliff Bars, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Right. You know, we were going to be stuck. Picked up some Cliff Bars, and they actually gave me a whole bunch of stuff because I told them I was going to. And I drove in to my firehouse, met some guys there, back of a pickup, downtown to another firehouse, in the back of a police horse van. Because the chief was, there was a rally point there, and the chief's going, you're not going anywhere 2 buildings came down. We lost a lot of people. We have no command post. And the firefighters are looking at the chief, go, Chief, we're going. We got our guys down there. We're going. Nobody can let Chief, sorry. We walked out. There was a police horseman. We got in and we headed down. We got out a few blocks from the World Trade Center. Pitch black. Dark, dark, dark.
I was gonna say the smoke must have still been.
Oh, and one thing, you remember these little things. One of the drugstores down there, before they took off for the day, put in the middle of the street eye wash, boxes and boxes of eye wash. And that just sticks in my head. We walked down, you turned the corner, and when you saw this for the first time, it's like a movie. It's like, where am I? You know? And I stayed down there for a day. And then the chief said, listen, we got to put you back into service. We don't know what else is going to happen. Because if you think about it, we have a whole city to protect.
Yeah, right.
Everybody wasn't down there. You can't take everybody from the Bronx, from Staten Island, and put them down there. So, and we're the only hazmat unit in the FDNY. So he made us take up and go back to the firehouse. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What a crazy time and a crazy event that happened, and just so massive in our history.
You know, pulling out of there and getting past where the security was. After being in there for over a day and getting out, and people like just going crazy, clapping in the streets, and you're crying. You know, it was crazy. It was just crazy. You know,
it was the only time in my life that I've seen what emerged from that tragedy, the amount of patriotism and the amount of love. There was no right or left. Everybody was kind of together, American flags everywhere. Everybody was unified. And, you know, if there was anything that, you know, positive, that it was that, is that it brought us together.
Yep.
You know,
that was good.
And
people buy us meals in restaurants. You know, we wouldn't go out to eat that much because we ate in the firehouse, but every once in a while, you know, the weeks that followed, we'd go to a diner in the city or whatever, and Wade would come over and say, hey, somebody picked up the check. Wow. And it was, in my firehouse, there was 8 of us. It wasn't like, you know, 5 guys. It was 8 of us. Right. And they said, hey, somebody picked up your check.
Wow.
Yeah. That was nice.
So then you stayed on for a few years after that, and then
I retired July 2008. And I always say I would have stayed on probably another 5 years, building up my 450, my retirement plan or whatever. But I was just done. I was burnt. My retirement plan was not great. It was not great. I lucked out in a few ways because I ended up teaching for Homeland Security, for the international. So I was all over the country teaching, which was pretty cool because I can't tell you how many fire academies around the country have a piece of steel from the World Trade Center. You know, and I would always take a picture in front of it, and then I would always go in and I would thank the guys before I started teaching. I'd say, listen, I never got an opportunity. If anybody came up to New York, whatever, said a prayer, whatever it is, I just want to thank you. And I got that opportunity traveling all over the country, meeting some cool people. And then I started talking comedy shows, and I've gone back to some of these places and done shows, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to give back in that way, as far as, you know, doing it through laughter, doing it through comedy, you know, making people smile and also helping them. You know, you know, I don't think of there's many better ways to achieve that. You know,
rising stars of stand-up comedy, and we hear the benefit, 2 great benefits.
You don't even know what the charities are. He doesn't even know. Name one of the charities.
Laughter Saves Lives.
Last week I said to him something about it. I go, it's on the website. He goes, what website? He goes, how do I get there? I go, Laughter Saves Lives.
I've been telling a lot of the comics that work for me, you know, we were born at a 9/11. Laughter Saves Lives was born at a 9/11. And we don't raise money for 9/11 families, whatever. They were well taken care of. We do it in memory of them. So most of our money does not go to people related to 9/11. This is a really cool story. 10 years ago, I went to Dallas to teach. Called my buddy John Solano. He was retired NYPD, did a little comedy out there. John, find somebody to do a show for. I'm coming out in 2 months, whatever. We find this firefighter who was electrocuted outside of Dallas, small fire department, can't work anymore. Young child, every muscle in his body got contorted, broke his back. We do this show in a place where there's usually bands. The fire department is there. His friends, his family laughing, having a ball. First time since this guy got hurt. We gave him, I don't know how much we gave. Didn't matter, a few $1,000s. And I called him a few months later. Hey, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing all right. You know, firemen, cops, military, they're not going to tell you most times. I said, give me another one of your car payments. I'll pick up another one of your car payments. And I hear his silence on the phone. And then he says to me, you don't know how much I needed this money today. I can't even say what. And he said, you're making a difference. And that was the first time anybody said to me, you're doing it. You know what I mean? And it hit me. I'm doing it. I'm doing what I set out to do. I made a difference in this guy's life in memory of my guys. Now go ahead 10 years. 3 months ago, I go to Dallas. We're raising some money for their 9/11 stair climb because it's a memorial climb. It's not a fundraiser. They got to pay for the building, blah, blah, blah. So I want to come out. Let's do a show. They loved it. We go out, do a show. I'm sitting in the back in the beginning selling shirts. This guy comes walking up to me, sticks out his hand. He says, John, how are you? I go, I'm an idiot. I have no idea who you are. He says, Joe, I'm trying to remember his name. The firefighter who was electrocuted, who you did a fundraiser for 10 years ago. I go, oh my God, you look great. He said, yeah, couldn't be a firefighter anymore. My wife and I opened up a wedding venue. I want you to come back next year. I want to do a fundraiser and raise money for Laughter Saves Lives.
Wow.
Is that friggin' full circle?
That's definitely full circle and just beautiful, man.
It just blew me away.
It's definitely, you know, I think it's your purpose in a sense is to that you've gone through all these things to have been doing what you're doing, like, and help these people out that are in need, and do it in the, you know, like you say, you're doing it in the name of all the fallen heroes that you know, those 19 guys.
They were funny guys. Those people,
Yeah.
people don't understand. I understand people put them up on the pedestal. They were heroes. They went into work. But these were regular guys coaching soccer, making people laugh. They were cool guys. I mean, you don't take that job. You have a certain personality, most guys. There's always one or two, but they're funny guys. What we did in the firehouse to make each other laugh, just some great stuff. We had one guy who had the shakes, and we had a meal one night with peas, and he's trying to get them on a fork, and they're falling off. Well, he goes off on us. Right? This was a senior guy. This is one of the guys that's been here a while. Right. You effing guys, don't ever make peas again when I'm working. This is ridiculous. Don't you know I got a condition? But the next time he came in, all we had in the middle of the table was a big bowl of peas. Nothing else. Nothing else. What do you think he did? Laughed his ass off. And then we ordered pizza. You know?
There's power in laughter, man, and there's healing in laughter. And, you know, like, especially high risk jobs like being a fireman. I think you need to have a sense of humor.
Oh yeah,
and be able to laugh things off, laugh at each other. I think it gives you strength. I truly believe that there's a lot to it, and you know, there's all the laughter's best medicine and all that stuff. But I think to your title of what your foundation, laughter does save lives. I think it's important.
It does, and you know, it saves lives for the moment. I used to say, you're laughing, saves lives for the person that you're raising the money for. You know, so yeah, no, it's cool, and the comics. Like right now, I'm at a point where I'm not going to be a headline famous comic, you know, unless my screenplay hits or whatever. I'm just focused on, let me do these shows, let me be part of the shows, make people laugh, and we're working on a docuseries. You know that, I told you that.
Yep.
Who knows where that's going to go, but I think it's really cool that we're doing a show at the American Legion where there's a veteran there who's been there 40 years, is there every week doing something. We're going in and we're doing a show and working with these guys. That's pretty cool. I'd love to do the big theaters. I love it. But you're going into the Volley Firehouses, the American Legions. You know, it's a lot of fun working with these guys.
And you know that they appreciate it too, and that they need you there. You know, and I just think it's you know, it's a great thing. And you know, even when you look back, I mean, I remember, yeah, I forget how many months out we were from 9/11. But when that Saturday Night Live and Giuliani said, "Hey, are we allowed to laugh yet?" or whatever, him and you know, Saturday Night Live, what's
And they said, what was
Lauren
it?
Michaels?
Are we allowed to be funny again, or are we allowed to laugh? But when to be funny again? And he said, "Were you funny before?"
You're right.
Like that.
Can we be funny? Why start now?
Yeah.
So I
Perfect.
think, like, and you guys you said you kind of went through that in the firehouse when you had your first chuckle in there. Is it okay to laugh? And yeah, man, it's, you know, it just, talking to you just brings me back to the how that it felt, those times, and how important the laughter was, and then now to here we are today, and how important laughter still is,
Yeah.
and what you're bringing to people, man, says a lot, and that's why, like, I'm happy to be, you know, working with you and be on board with you on this project, and
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm appreciative of you being willing to work with us. And the key is, even with this, gotta have fun doing it. You know, we
Yeah.
gotta have fun doing it. I'm at a point in my life where if I'm not having fun doing something, I'm not doing it. Playing pickleball, freaking people down the park, they're getting so serious, and I'm like, hold on a second, hold on. Are you going to the Olympics? No, freaking smile. I'm not gonna have fun, you know. One of the first times after 9/11 that I do remember laughing, people were donating stuff from all over the country for emergency responders. They were sending so the city said, you know, we need to divvy this stuff out fairly to the different departments. So they got a warehouse, and everything was put in the warehouse. They put somebody in charge of it, and they were keeping track of who was getting what. So we walked in there one day. Hey, what do you got for us? You know. So the lady running it says, "Hey, we got some winter hats, nice warm winter hats." Ooh, yeah, we'll take one of those. You know. So she goes, wait. She goes, they're in the color and the shape of fruit, bananas, cherries. Like, so the captain looks at us and goes, "Don't freaking touch those hats. I don't want to see you guys wearing those." Cap, what are we going to do with those hats? Somebody distracts them at one point. We all get a hat, right? Now, sometimes when you get off the truck, you know, it's something that's not an emergency. So the next call like that, everybody has a different fruit on. And we walk off the truck, and the captain turns around. He hits the ceiling. "I told you guys not to get those hats." The guy with the orange looks at him and says, "Hey, Cap, but aren't you glad we took them?" And we started laughing. And it was one of the first times where I felt like, oh my God, this is awesome, you know. And that's shortly after that, that's where it hit me. What a great way to remember them. Make people laugh.
Being a fireman in New York City can be interesting. We got a call the other day to this lady's apartment, smoke all over the place. I said, "Ma'am, where's your smoke alarm?" She said, "I took the battery out." I said, "Why would you do that?" She says, "Every time I get a little bit of smoke in here, it makes a loud noise." I said, "Oh, sounds effective." You know what you do? Take 2 eggs, some cheese, and mushrooms and stick it in there. You go to sleep at night, you wake up, you smell an omelet cooking, you got a fire, lady.
And again, people, it's laughtersaveslives.org. People should go there, donate, see when the next shows are, support the you know, the best you can, because I think what you're doing is great. And you did mention the screenplay, It's Time to Laugh Again. Take me through that a little bit. This is something you've been working on for a while. How far along are
10
you with
years,
it?
10 years. I've been going back and forth. I've had some pretty popular people read it. Donnie Most loves it.
Nice.
Obama Tunde loves it. He's on SWAT, but he's been on so many things. It's basically a New York City firefighter loses 19 members of his firehouse on 9/11 and uses laughter to heal and remember them. That's the log line. It starts out of me wanting to work out for the test and not being me. It's not my thing. And going through a lot of things I told you, just going through the academy and getting on the job and meeting Tommy, my best friend who I lost on 9/11.
Wow.
We actually co-hosted a show on WGBB 2000 and 2001.
Wow.
And I don't remember what the name of the show was. Try to remember, but Tommy was so funny. He used to write jokes for Joan Rivers. He was a page at NBC and send them up, to Joan.
Wow.
So when he found out I was doing stand-up, he's like, "Oh man," he goes, "Can I write some jokes for you?" I said, "Yeah." So I got the show and I go, "Why don't you co-host with me?" And he goes, I want to be behind the microphone. But Tommy was so smart. He was a college professor, so witty that he can throw something out of the guy and nail him, and everybody be laughing, and the guy would be like, what just went on? So I said, just come on the show and make fun of me. Just sit there for an hour and make fun of me as much as you want. So the first few times he didn't say much, but then, oh my God, we were in our playground. We had a ball. And when Tommy was lost on 9/11, these guys, Monty and Lund,
Right.
they used to come on the show at times. And I called up the station a few weeks after 9/11, and I said, I want to come in and do the show because I hadn't done it. And I said, but I want 2 hours. Whatever you want, John. Whatever you want. Hang up the phone, and I go, what am I going to do? I didn't even know So number one, I called Monty in London. I said, you got to come in the studio because I may end up crying in the corner.
Right.
And then I thought of it. I said, I'm going to have people call in and tell me a time somebody's missing, made you laugh or smile. And we never got many phone calls. Freaking phones rang for 2 hours.
Wow.
People just needed to vent. Oh, my father, he used to do this to me and make me laugh, whatever. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That's
and
powerful.
one lady called me a few weeks later, a few months later, and she said, hey, I got this great part in this movie. I'm looking for a firefighter who's handsome and funny. And I'm sitting there, my head's getting bigger and bigger, right? And she goes, whatever happened to your friend Tommy? Like, she didn't know that he...
Wow.
And I'm like... then I had it, and she cried. This woman met him once for like 10 minutes. She started crying. This is the kind of guy he was.
Wow.
He was a fireman's fire. He could be with the toughest firefighters. They'd love him. Yet he was a sweetheart, smart, funny. Yeah. And then I've never had anybody in my life since then. Like my family always said, since Tommy, you have no friends.
Right.
You don't know. And I have to Rich Walker, I go, Rich is my friend. Rich is my I have to show them friends.
Well, God bless, man. It's so tough, and I'm glad to keep in the memory of Tommy and all the other guys alive, and God bless, man.
And on my desk for my TV show, we do Wednesday nights at 8:00 on Paradise Studios, YouTube, Facebook. I don't know if you see the picture way in the back on top. That's Tommy and I at WGBB.
Oh, the one I see it. It's a little blurry, but the one with the red. There's like red.
I can take it off the wall.
Okay, cool. Oh, okay, that one. Okay.
This is us at WGBB.
Oh, that's a great picture.
Like a phony, hey, how you doing? And
nice.
That picture is on my desk. If you ever watch my show, it's on my desk every show.
Okay. I'll check that.
I don't even remember Tommy, but to remember all of them. That's my way. One of my ways to remember all of them, And I always tell one of Tommy's jokes when I have an extended set on stage. And then I pause and I go, that joke was written by my buddy Tommy Gardner. We lost him on 9/11. Let's hear it for Tommy tonight. Place goes crazy.
Yeah.
Then I say, I get a little sentimental and I say, he always talks to me when I'm stage, and I can hear him right now talking to me saying, it's a Friday night and you're in the back of a dirty room of a restaurant. You still suck, and what a better way to remember them by getting a laugh. I love doing this. I usually do a joke. I'm going to say his name anyway. I didn't do the joke tonight in memory of my buddy Tommy Gardner. I always do a punchline, and he's always looking down at me saying, you still suck. Let's hear it for Tommy Gardner. I don't want to make the audience cry. This is a comedy show. What a great way to remember them. Make it a laugh with mentioning Tommy's name.
Right on. And I do love the seeing you kind of the wall with all the fireman stuff. And
my wife
your helmet and the axe.
Just started doing this. This is a pretty cool picture. This is, I don't know if you remember this. When I was in Manhattan, so I got on in '87. This had to be around 1990. 14th Street subway derailment. There was a derailment underground on 14th Street. The train was speeding. The guy was on a medication or whatever. Train was speeding, and it went right a turn and came off the tracks and took out the metal columns, boom, boom, boom. And I carried out a lot of stretches, and I got on the front page of the Daily News.
Wow.
But when I went into hazmat, we wore the moon suits, the suits.
Yeah, the full on.
I can't tell you how many times in Manhattan I was on the front page of the paper, and I go, "That's me," and people go, "Yeah, sure." So it came to a point where I didn't tell anybody anymore when I was on the front page because nobody believed me.
Yeah, being in hazmat in New York City, you must have seen a lot of stuff. I mean,
well, thank God we don't have any major chemicals running through Manhattan, or maybe it's parts of the Bronx, but and there wasn't a lot of terrorist events. Of course, 9/11 and the first World Trade Center bombing, but we didn't have like any nerve agents. We did have the anthrax.
That was shortly after. That was at 2001.
Yeah.
That was 2002.
That changed so much about responses in New York City, and how we would handle them, and but yeah, that was, and then I toured all over the country. I met so many people, so many firefighters that I'm still friends with from so many states. So I was very lucky to be able to do that.
There we go. How cool is that?
What, you never saw a fire truck before? Come on, the show's starting.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody else?
Here we go. Here's Shannon. These are people behind the counter selling
Lines.
popcorn. Hey guys, how are you? There's the girls, my daughter and Izzy. And we're going in the room. Go crazy, people! Go crazy! Hey, John! Thanks for being here. What's going on here tonight?
I think it's a comedy show.
Well, thanks, John. Hey, Donna, what kind of show is it?
It's a Laughter Saves Lives comedy show.
What kind of show?
Laughter saves lives.
And now you're doing, aside from the Laughter Save Lives tour, you also have the Laughter Saves Lives, like you mentioned, the podcast, the show you do with Rich Walker over there at Paradise Studios.
Yeah, we like to call it a TV show. We're a little uppity, because I like to do. I'd say I run the show like a fire, organized confusion. In fact, come on, we have Steve Middleman on, a famous comic who was on Carson, whatever. But we my favorite guest is the average hero, somebody running a foundation, whatever. But we like to have some fun with them, but yet let them get out some good information. We've had on helicopter nurses, all kinds of really cool people doing great work out there. So yeah, but I like it where we're making mistakes and it's live and we roll with it. I think that's a lot of fun. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Laughter Saves Lives. Live. We had before he passed away. Obviously, we had Lou Gossett Jr. on one night.
Oh wow,
which was really cool. What a nice guy.
And we eventually, as tough as we might come from the tough families and the wars and stuff, I hopefully get to the bottom line point that none of us human are ever in charge of this planet.
But my favorite guest is Obal Babatunde. He's been on probably 5 times. In fact, he surprised me a few weeks ago. He loves us. He surprised Rich and I because a guest canceled, and my producer Butch said, "I got a guest, replace him." I go, "Who is it?" He goes, "I go, Butch, tell me who it is. I need to know who it is. I can't go on the air without knowing who." And then he came on the screen, and I went nuts. Like I won $1 million. Oh my!
What's up, guys?
Because he's such a sweet. They call him the Black Cowboy. He grew up in the city. He's a rodeo guy now. He grew up in Jamaica, Queens. He does rodeo, but he's been on like every other TV show for 35 years. The Bold and the Beautiful. Now he's on SWAT. But I love to have him on because I love saying his name. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, Babatunde, and he freaking loves it. It reminds me. My second favorite name was the catcher from the Montreal Expos back in the day, John Bach Abella. So I said over. I said, you're neck and neck with him. We just like to have fun on it. That's my dream job. I want to be a late night talk show. It's never gonna happen, but that's my dream job. I love people. I love improv and talking to somebody. I'm having fun like that.
Yeah, you're making it happen. Like you're doing the show. Yeah, it's not on NBC, but you're doing what you want to do, and you got great guests, and I love the chemistry with you and Rich, and all the gang. You have like your little circle of guys.
Yeah,
and they're all
yeah,
they're all great people, man.
Yeah.
So kudos to that. And then so what else do you got going on? I know
we have our big fundraiser coming up. We haven't done one in 5 years. On 11/22. It's we call it the Virginia LaRoccchia Laughter Saves Lives Almost Gala. Because we're not really snooty. We don't have a gala. You don't got to get dressed up. We're doing 70s theme though. Which I want to make the video with you, John Travolta in the movie opening up the Saturday Night Fever.
Yes.
So we got that coming up in November. That's our big one. I'm producing a lot of shows on Nassau County Junior Firefighters. They're all on the website, the flyers. We're doing that one this month, August 23rd, for that woman whose house burnt down and husband died. She has 4 kids. And what's great about these shows? 50 people in I can't even say it, Presbyterian church, or 500 people in the Northport Theater. The comics give the same show.
Yep.
Comics love to perform. They love making people laugh. They will give the same show. So if you're not doing anything, August 23rd, I don't know when this is going to air or whatever, look me up, get a ticket, come down, support this family, and laugh. I got John Ziegler headlining. John Ziegler's a great comic.
He's a great dude, great comedian.
Yeah.
And cancer survivor. He battled it and won.
Got some story.
Yeah.
He's got some story, and he's coming down to headline the show, and we got a few other comics. I love giving new comics a chance on a show where there's a great audience, because a lot of these comics, they work in the open mics, the bringer shows, and we all did that. But man, when I throw them in front of a firehouse show with 300 people, and they go up and they get a really good laugh, like, some of this stuff they think is funny, and I got some laughs in the open mic. It is an awesome feeling watching that.
Yeah.
And paying somebody for the first time. I love that. Here's $25 gas money. You paying me? Really? That's a nice feeling to pay somebody for the first time.
It's awesome. And like you said earlier, man, it does feel better to give. There's nothing quite like that, like to give an opportunity, or to give to somebody their first payment, or to help somebody in need, or to help one of the families. And that's what you are. You're a giver, and I commend you for that, John. I think that's a really great thing, and I feel like more people should be like that, and be like you, and follow suit and be inspired.
Well, you know what I think that is if we do some good stuff, and we include some people or whatever, you gotta do, and people will see. You can't talk, you gotta walk the walk, right? You gotta do this stuff, and other people see what you're doing. And the sad thing is, no matter how much you do, no matter how much you give, there's always somebody attacking you. And I'm a sensitive guy. I can't help it. There's been once or twice where somebody said, "Oh, you're doing this. You're living off the guys from 9/11," and that hurts. It hurts. And I'm always taking a step back and going, all right, is this helping people? And am I using 9/11 right? I don't want to. And it's a constant battle with me, So when somebody comes out and says something like that, it hurts. It does hurt, But that's not going to stop me. But
right.
It hurts,
Yeah, there's always going to be a hater out there, and
Yep.
if that's not the reason, they'll find another one. If that's who they are, the negative forces in the world, they're going to find a reason, and they just found that one. Oh, well, you're using this using it for what? Like you said, you don't take any money, like and not that you don't have to. You can. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. A lot of people who run foundations get paid.
Right.
Make
Yeah.
some money. It's right on my desk. Here's my bill folder. Here's my bill. Right? It's not like I'm sitting here with no bills. I'd love to make some money on the foundation, but I got to find some really big sponsors to do them. So until I do that, I'm still producing shows, lugging equipment in. I'm still teaching. You know, got my Social Security, got my pension. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
You're enjoying what you're doing. You're very hands-on. You're not a slacker. You are walking the walk and talking that you're talking. And yeah, and anybody that says otherwise are just haters, and I wouldn't even.
We had an expression at the firehouse. You had that guy like that never cooks, and he's leaning over your shoulder. This sucks. So this thing, we had this expression. You got to step up to F up. If you don't step up and go, I'll cook the meal. Well, nobody's going to complain about your cooking because you're not doing it right.
Right.
So that's what it's the people that are stepping up, trying to do something. You're going to screw up. You're going to screw up. You got to step up to F up.
I love that. Step up to F up. I'm going to use that.
I cleaned that up a little bit there for you.
There you go.
Well,
there's
nothing like a firehouse kitchen. There's nothing like a firehouse kitchen. One guy's house burned down, and he had to live in a trailer on his front lawn. They gave him 2 days. There were pictures of trailers all over his locker. 2 days they gave. First day, oh, it's terrible. Leave him alone. Second day, boom, 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 boom.
Busted chops, man. That's it. That's the best.
Billy Bingo used to book comedy shows, and he would never put me on the show for whatever reason. Billy and I just didn't want me on shows. Well, any show he had, there was 8 flyers on my locker of the show when I would come in.
He was the world's funniest fireman, right?
What are you on the back of the flyer? Where are you? What are you gonna tell? Oh, good.
Well, and for this October, was it October 22nd? November 22nd.
Right.
That's the big one. That's the big almost gala. We
Yes.
definitely got to do some stuff for that to help promote it, and then I
Yes.
definitely want to be on site and document that as well.
Beautiful.
That's going to be. I urge everybody to go there and check that out and get tickets. At, laughtersaveslives.org. John, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. Tell everybody where they could find you, follow you on
Go
social.
to laughtersaveslives.org. I'm big on Facebook. I'm not big. I should be bigger on Twitter and all that. But any shows that I'm doing, even for somebody else, I'll post it. I'm going to be performing here. I love people coming to see the shows, making them laugh, raising money for great charities. Hey, listen, the 11/22 show, $70. You're getting beer, wine, show, buffet dinner. That's a good deal.
That's a lot. That's a good deal.
If you're a veteran, first responder, healthcare worker, $55.
Wow.
We want to take care of them. Yep.
You get a lot of good stuff out of that, and it's very affordable. So yeah, everybody should go check that out and get your tickets. And John's going to be there. You can see John, and I'll be floating around with a camera, so you see me too.
We have John Ziegler again on that show. We got Rich Walker. We got one of my favorite comics, Sandy Ells, coming in from Jersey. She's like part of my family. I met this girl years ago, and she's just a wonderful individual. Roseanne Sorrentino's doing a set. We have too many comics on the show, but everybody's doing. And Jack Clunan, who's FDNY EMS. Jack has had cancer, numerous transplants, became an FDNY EMS right before COVID. This kid went through COVID, EMS, brand new, and he's an unbelievable story and funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Check it out, everybody. John, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
You're the best, man. I appreciate it. And everybody check him out.
All
Thank
right.
you. John LaRoCCIA, everybody.
See you, big guy.
Take care.
Thanks.